Welcome to this explainer. We need to treat the information in front of us today as a critical medical briefing. We are looking directly at a severe biological impact and a hidden health risk that specifically targets you if you are over the age of 60. The source data we're reviewing details a profound, multidimensional mechanism of biological degradation that is happening right on the surface of your body, and will outline the scientifically grounded intervention capable of addressing it. Make no mistake, this is not about cosmetic appearance. This is a life-saving medical alert regarding a massive systemic vulnerability.
Look closely at this stark quote from the clinical literature. It completely shatters the myth that aging skin is just a superficial issue. Your skin is the largest organ in your body. It's an active, dynamic interface packed with immune cells, nerve endings, and transdermal pathways that lead straight into your bloodstream. When chronic oxidative stress takes hold in skin tissue, it doesn't stay contained. It directly links to systemic inflammation, which is the absolute root driver of cardiovascular disease, arthritis, neurodegeneration, and even cancer.
To address this systemic vulnerability, here is our clinical agenda. We will cover 1. The silent systemic threat. 2. The Thymoquinone mechanism. 3. Cellular apoptosis and stem cells. 4. Chronobiology and nocturnal application. 5. The strict clinical protocol. And finally, 6. Medical contraindications and safety.
Section 1. The silent systemic threat.
We need to discard any notion of superficial anti-aging and focus squarely on severe biological degradation. Take a look at this number, 1 to 2%. That represents the alarming annual drop in your skin's collagen production once you pass the age of 60. As this happens, your dermal layer structurally thins out, but the real danger goes much deeper. The mitochondria inside these skin cells, the energy-producing engines of your biology, literally begin to collapse in efficiency. That mitochondrial collapse leads us directly to this concept, oxidative stress. When mitochondria fail, they produce reactive oxygen species, or free radicals, at a rate significantly faster than your aging body can neutralize them. This is a destructive cellular imbalance that degrades your cellular machinery. It's the gateway mechanism opening the door to systemic inflammation, which heavily impacts the internal organs of seniors.
Section 2. The Thymoquinone mechanism.
To combat this degradation, the scientific literature points to a highly targeted intervention, Thymoquinone, or TQ. This is the active bioactive compound derived from the plant Nigella Sativa, commonly known as black seed oil. This isn't a fringe theory. It is backed by an astonishing body of evidence, including over 2,000 peer-reviewed published studies as of 2024. Notice the sheer scope of TQ's efficiency here. Most modern pharmaceuticals are designed to work through a single biological pathway. TQ, however, works through at least 5 distinct biological pathways simultaneously. It actively targets inflammation, activates internal antioxidants, signals stem cell proliferation, modulates your microbiome, and induces apoptosis. This multidimensional efficiency is a stark contrast to single-target medications.
Let's look closely at that first pathway, anti-inflammatory action. TQ inhibits an enzyme called COX-2. This happens to be the exact same enzyme targeted by pharmaceutical anti-inflammatory drugs like ibuprofen and naproxen. However, those common medications carry severe side effects, causing heavy toxicity to your stomach lining, your liver, and your kidneys. TQ achieves this identical COX-2 inhibition to reduce tissue inflammation, but it does so without triggering those toxic internal side effects. The crucial point is how TQ behaves as an antioxidant. It doesn't just deliver antioxidants to the skin. It activates the NRF2 pathway. The source material describes this as a master switch for the body's own defense system. When TQ penetrates the dermal layer, it flips the switch, causing a massive spike in your internal glutathione production. You are quite literally turning on your body's internal antioxidant factory from the inside out to neutralize those dangerous free radicals we discussed earlier.
Section 3. Cellular apoptosis and stem cells.
This phase focuses strictly on tissue regeneration and the biological eradication of abnormal cells. Your skin contains primitive, undifferentiated epidermal stem cells capable of regenerating damaged tissue. But as you age past 60, these cells enter a state of deep dormancy. They essentially go to sleep. The literature shows that TQ upregulates specific signaling proteins, particularly in the WNT beta-catenin pathway. In strict medical terms, this forces those sleeping stem cells to wake up divide, and aggressively repair chronic dermal degradation and thinning tissue. For seniors dealing with slow wound healing, this is a transformative mechanism.
Then we arrive at apoptosis. Cancer cells, by their very nature, evade programmed cell death. They become immortal and divide uncontrollably. A meta-analysis of 31 studies shows that TQ targets specific regulatory proteins, including BCL2 and P53, to force these evading abnormal cells into apoptosis. While we are absolutely not claiming a systemic cancer cure here, the literature is exceptionally clear. Applying an agent topically that promotes the natural death of malignant or abnormal cells in aging skin is a profound medical intervention.
Section 4, Chronobiology and Nocturnal Application.
We must now shift our focus to the rigid science of timing. If you want these biological interventions to work, your application timing cannot be arbitrary. Nighttime application is a strict medical necessity governed by chronobiology. The body's nocturnal healing cycle dictates this timing perfectly. At 10 p.m., your cellular and DNA repair mechanisms actively turn on. By midnight, your growth hormone secretion reaches its absolute peak, while cortisol, the stress hormone that suppresses immune function, drops to its lowest point. By 2 a.m., the skin reaches peak nocturnal transdermal conductance, meaning it becomes highly permeable. Applying TQ during these specific hours ensures the molecules penetrate deeply into your bloodstream when your body is biologically primed to utilize them.
Section 5, the strict clinical protocol.
Knowing the biological mechanisms is completely useless without proper execution. These are the exact, non-negotiable clinical steps required to achieve actual physiological changes. First is the clinical sourcing mandate. You cannot use just any oil off a shelf. Heat processing utterly destroys the active TQ compound, and chemical solvent extractions introduce dangerous contaminants. Sourcing verification is critical. It must be cold-pressed, unrefined, organic Nigella Sativa. Crucially, it must have a third-party verified Thymoquinone content ranging strictly between 1 to 3%. Without this verification, the protocol is invalid.
Here is the rigid application procedure. Step 1. Warm roughly half a teaspoon of the verified TQ oil between your palms. Step 2. Massage it directly into transdermal zones. This includes inflamed joints, the webbing of the hands, the chest, and the neck, where absorption is highest. Step 3. You must allow a full 10 minutes for complete transdermal absorption before covering the skin. Step 4. Execute this exact process every single night for a minimum of 8 weeks. Real biological and cellular change demands consistent time. Do not expect overnight miracles, expect biological shifts.
Section 6. Medical Contraindications and Safety.
We will now move to the final mandatory safety briefing. As with any powerful, scientifically grounded intervention, safety parameters must be strictly observed. While TQ has an exceptional safety profile, the source outlines 3 specific contraindications requiring physician consultation. First, if you are on blood thinners, like warfarin, TQ possesses mild anticoagulant properties, so medical clearance is mandatory. Second, if you are undergoing active chemotherapy, you must consult your oncologist simply to prevent introducing new biological variables during your treatment. Third, if you have a known allergy to the Runculaceae plant family, a small patch test is strictly required before any broader application. You might be asking why this heavily researched, life-saving intervention isn't prescribed in standard 15-minute doctor visits. The sources clarify a stark economic reality. Natural plant compounds like Nigella Sativa simply cannot be patented. Without a patent, the multi-billion-dollar financial incentive required to fund large-scale pharmaceutical trials and rewrite mainstream clinical guidelines just does not exist. This omission is based purely on modern economic frameworks, not a lack of rigorous scientific efficacy.
Which brings us to the final conclusion of our briefing today. The science is peer-reviewed, the biological mechanisms are mapped, and the clinical protocol is clear. The systemic threat of aging skin is not a cosmetic issue. It is a profound health risk. So the question you are left with is this: will you allow your body's regenerative cells to remain dormant and vulnerable, or will you take immediate, highly educated action to activate your innate repair system tonight? Thank you for joining this explainer.